Hi, my name is Scott Balzer, and this is my Kitchen Science 1140 final exam. I'm going to be discussing caramelization of sugar and emulsification. I'm going to be making caramelized sugar to put on top of pancakes. So the first thing you do before cooking is you make sure that all your surfaces and utensils are properly sanitized. So I'm going to take this Lysol wipe and wipe down my surfaces to make sure no disease will be spread and no one will get sick. And over at the stove here, I have a pan, and I put a cup of sugar in it and a quarter cup of water to begin the caramelization process. It's already been on for a couple minutes now. So the water was added though to help keep an even temperature throughout so none of the sugar burns. So caramelization is the chemical reaction that occurs when sugar is heated to the point that the molecules start to break apart. And I use table sugar here, which is sucrose. And this table sugar starts out as a sweet, colorless, odorless material. But once heat's added, the molecules start to break, and then new, different compounds are going to start to form. Once these molecules begin to break apart, the sugar now becomes bitter and starts producing aromas, and the color begins to change. By the time that this sugar's finished caramelizing, the resulting product is going to be dark brown. It's going to have a nice fragrance to it, and it's going to be bitter. So a little bit about sucrose, the table sugar we're using here. It's made up of glucose and fructose, which are bonded together at their reducing atoms. Sucrose is a non-reducing sugar. So that means that it doesn't have a reducing atom that's able to donate its electrons to other molecules. So this means that sugar can't be oxidized, so you don't have to worry about it going bad and spoiling. And a little bit about caramelizing of sucrose is that it occurs at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm going to leave this sitting here. I need to make sure to constantly watch it so it's not burned and mix around in the pan like this as it heats up. It's going to start to form that brown color and start to give off a nice scent. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is emulsification and emulsifiers. I have pancake batter over here, and to start off, an emulsion is defined as small droplets of liquid suspended in another. So emulsifiers are made up of two main phases: the continuous or bulk phase, which is the phase in which the dispersed phase sits in, and the other phase is the dispersed phase, or the droplet suspended phase. The liquid is forced into small droplets and mechanically forced to reside in the continuous phase. So emulsifiers are added to an emulsion to prevent it from separating into its polar and non-polar parts. These parts aren't meant to mix, so an emulsifier is added to help stabilize this emulsion and keep the polar and non-polar parts from separating. So the ingredients that I added in this pancake batter were first 2 cups of all-purpose baking mix, which contains wheat flour to provide the gluten and structure for the dough, and also provides salt, which helps strengthen that gluten network. Baking powder is also in that all-purpose baking mix, and it allows the batter to rise and is known as the leavening agent, excuse me. Next thing that I added in, also in the baking powder mix, it's important to note that there are mono and diglycerides that are used as emulsifiers in this baking mix. The next ingredient I added was 1 1/3 cups of milk, which is an oil and water emulsion, and that helps add structure to the batter and tenderizes it and moistens it. The emulsifier that I added, or another emulsifier that I added to the batter, is egg yolk, which contains a protein called lecithin. And the last thing I added to this mix was 2 tablespoons of sugar, which adds sweet flavor and allows for the browning of the pancakes when I begin to cook them. So here's my emulsion and the emulsifiers in it. So back to my caramelizing. It's starting to bubble here, which is not real good. It's too hot, so I'm going to turn the heat down. I'm going to constantly keep it stirred though, so it doesn't get burnt. This caramelized sugar is going to be really nice and act like a syrup on top of my pancakes to help add some sweetness to it. So next I'm going to take my batter and I'm going to start to make my pancakes. So I have a grease skillet here. Now I'm going to continually watch my caramelized sugar over here as I begin to make the pancakes. So after